Hi everyone and welcome to another week in review. This is week 3 of my training plan, another very solid week that I was very happy with. So like always, I'll run through the numbers and I'll just highlight a few things for you this week. So the first thing I wanted to show you was my metrics for building upon, which is, I largely use TSS from Training Peaks. I don't pay for Training Peaks, so this is all sort of basic information for me. As you can see from last week, I'll bring that up. Last week, 894 TSS. So it says their plan was 786, but that's because I load a plan on. But as I mentioned each week, I load my own swimming sessions, and also I modify the runs a little bit as well. So that's just a rough guide. So I go by the 894 completed, and I very, very, very loosely increase my load by 10%. That's not a hard and fast rule. So 894, 10%, say 90%, 90, 890. So it's about 90 points. I could go to 980. You can see this week I did 957, so I'm well within the limit of the safe limit of building volume. I felt fantastic. I think the strength and the stretching and so on is really making a difference. In the past, I'd be like, my legs are beaten to hell. I'm really tired. I feel none of that. I had a 11-kilometer run this morning, just a light zone 2. I could go out and smash some interval runs right now if I wanted to. I just feel very good. So you can see if I bring up the weekly calendar, a very solid week. I'll start to run through it. You can see total training hours, 18 hours and 39 minutes. Again, it's building up at 17 hours and 17 minutes last week, so just a little bit more, 1.5 hours extra. Still creeping up. I want to be hitting 20 to 22 pretty soon. I am actively increasing my run volume because I'm approaching the Dirty German, the 50k run. So I want to be trying to hit around 50k's a week of volume at least, and then hold that for Lake Placid. Possibly increasing to 60, which would be about 35 miles, but we'll wait and see. So started out on run day Monday. My long run, 22.5 kilometers in 2.25 hours. My zone 2 pace is just naturally increasing, and this was kind of expected as I do more speed work and so on. I try and keep this easy, but it's just by habit. I'm just getting faster, which is a good sign. I'm not trying to push to go faster. It's just naturally happening, which is I'm gonna add probably one more speed session, so do 2 speed sessions a week. So I'm pretty happy with that. Then I was in the pool in the afternoon for 3,200 yards. All these things show up in metrics. So here it's 2750 meters. Just kind of a recovery swim, just doing hundreds and 50s and so on. I'll go into my swimming a little bit shortly. Tuesday, the usual 1 hour spin. That's actually going to be increasing up to about 3 hours. I'll increase that this week. It's just a good spin out of the legs just to keep them active before my weight session in the afternoon. I've worked out now my weight days are Tuesday and Friday. It's a good mix because I'm pretty, like, Tuesdays are basically a rest and recovery day, so that's why that bike is very easy. And so I'm nice and fresh to do the fitness in the afternoon. On to Wednesday, interval sessions and the run. You can see the 7.69 kilometers. Followed by my big lap session, so 5,200 yards in the pool, and that's what I'm just going to go into a little bit here to elaborate on how I swim and my approach to swimming. So if I bring up the set, you can see here, I'd always do a drill set first. I think drills, some people don't like drills. I love drills just for building mind muscle memory, if that's the correct term. Just to get my brain in the habit of this is how you should be moving. So I like to do isolation drills that isolate parts of especially the catch and pull, just to get it into my head. And so what I aim to do is, this set here is broken down into that first block of drills is 800 drills. Then I got 2, 4, 6, 8 times 50, then an 800, then a 2, 4, 6, 8 times 100, then an 800. Then 8 times 50 or 6 with a 400 drill cool down before a final 800 effort. So what I do is I've already mentioned those first drills. Then I do the 8 times 50. And what I do for the 8 times 50 as a warm up is I go 25 as hard as I can with 25 back as recovery. So the 25 back as recovery is Ironman pace. So sprint as hard as I can, Ironman pace back. Then I have 5 seconds break. I have found with my swimming, I've improved greatly, especially in my endurance, by reducing the amount of rest that I take between reps. So if I do 50s, I only take 5 seconds. I often only take 5 seconds with 100s as well, but sometimes if it's a recovery swim set, I'll take 10 seconds. And the super long sets, I try and keep to 10 seconds. Sometimes I'll go to 15 seconds to recover. The important thing to note here is it depends on what your goal is. So if your goal is form and getting the fastest possible time out, you obviously want to have those rests between reps longer, but that's not my goal. My goal is building endurance and holding form when I'm tired, so I want to reduce those gaps. So the maximum I would ever take is 30 seconds, which is between sets. So once I finish the 8 times 50, for example, I'll take a 30-second break before I get into the 800. That just gives me time to have a drink, if my goggles need adjusting, and so on. The 800 is swum usually at Ironman pace, because obviously I'm building towards an Ironman, so I try and hit that as hard as I can. And I do the hundreds. Hundreds, I aim for 400 pace, and when I say 400, I mean like I'm going to do a few sprint triathlons, so I imagine it's the pace that I want to do those sprints at. Again, 30-second break afterwards, and then into another 800. So as I mentioned last week, I try and keep track of my 800s. And if I bring up the 3 800 times now, you'll see the first set, 14 minutes 52, which is pretty standard to what I was doing last week. Set 2, 15:12. So I drop about 20 seconds between the sets, as you'd expect as I get more tired. I'm not too concerned about that because it's over 16 lengths, so I'm losing about 1 second per length. And as I'll show you with my SWOLF in a second, the main criteria which I use, I tend to slow down on the turns. So it's not my swimming that's fatiguing, it's my turning. And obviously when you do an event like an Ironman, you're not going to be turning, so that's not as big of an issue for me. And finally, the third set from 15:12, I drop further. I drop 15 seconds. So I drop less than a second per up and down lap for the third set at 15:27. So I'm pretty happy with that timing. It's no tangible improvement over last week, but once you've been swimming for a while, it's quite difficult to edge out extra seconds of improvement here and there. But as I mentioned, one of my key metrics, as you can see here, is my SWOLF. SWOLF is basically a score. My SWOLF for the swim was 40. So they take your time to do a length, in this case 25 yards, plus the number of strokes required to do that length. So a lot of people don't like this. A lot of people that swim don't like to use SWOLF. I like to use SWOLF because I think it's a very good measure of efficiency. Efficiency is the main target for me. Obviously you can get faster, so if I wanted to get faster, I'd increase my cadence, which is going to increase my stroke rate, but it's possibly going to decrease the time to do the thing. So my SWOLF may stay the same, it may change, but as I say, I'm interested in efficiency, so it functions very well as an efficiency metric for me. So you can see 40 is the average there. I nudge not even up to about 45 at the highest and drop at the most down around 35. So I think that's a pretty good standard range. And you can see it's pretty consistent across the board. I'm particularly interested in the third set. So you can see the third set there toward the end. There's not many drops down to 35. They're all nudging back up to 45 as you'd expect as fatigue kicks in. And so just going over the stats then, you can see 5,200 yards is my SWOLF of 40. And my average pace of minute 52 per 100. Best was 128. I don't really care about my best time. The best 100 I've ever swum is a minute 17. That's just for fun. I just did it. Hey, how fast can I do this 100? It has no benefit for me in terms of my training because I'm not training to do the fastest 100. I'm training to get out of the water after 4 kilometers full of energy to still do a solid bike and a run. So obviously I want to bring my time down, but I want to do it in a way that's efficient so that I can bike and run most efficiently. So that's going back to the calendar now, that's my big Wednesday swim. Thursday is my long ride. It had a 40-minute threshold effort. I have changed up if you recall 2 weeks ago, I had problems with thresholds. I've changed up my dietary approach. I actually went back and recalculated it. I'm about a gel short per hour. I don't know where I got my numbers from, but when I recrunched, an extra gel, so I'm taking in about 80 to 100 grams of carbs an hour now. So I'm smashing out the thresholds, and I'm feeling much, much stronger. You can see this is a 40-minute threshold effort over a 4.25 hour swim, 4.25 hour ride. So 139 kilometers, so I was pretty happy with that. I felt very solid afterwards. Backed it up the next day with another almost 3-hour ride, which was again very solid, and just an easy run off the bike. And some training in the afternoon. So I'm just going to bring up some training just to give you an idea of what I do. This is Phil Mosley's training plan. So you can see squats 3 times 16, lunges 3 times 10, and so on down the list. Bench press, I do all this with a 35-pound kettlebell. And so the bench press, I kind of lie on the ground and rest the bell on my chest and press up from there. Moving on with the calendar, Friday, as I mentioned, that was the shifting of the weight to Fridays. It's meant to be on Thursdays, but I just can't fit it in after a 4.25 hour bike, and I tend to go out with my wife then, so I leave early. Saturday is normally my trail running day, but my daughter had some friends over for a sleepover, so I couldn't get out there, so I went down the pool early and did a 3,200 yard set instead. Today, the plan actually had a threshold test, but I did some threshold running and got an updated threshold last week, so I don't need to do it. So I did a long, easy run instead and finished the day with some stretching and rolling for Pilates. That's a dedicated stretching and rolling position workout where I just get a bit more deeper into it. Like at night, each night I have a Terra gun, and when I'm watching TV, I'll just lie on the bed and just massage myself with that. I do that every night anyway, but this is more of an intense workout. So jumping forward then, the week ahead. I mentioned last week was my rest week. This is actually my rest week coming up. You can see Monday, it says their rest day. Keep in mind, I still have to load some stuff. So I'm actually going to be doing a swim that day. Tuesday, just strength. I'm actually going to be doing an interval session on running. I still have to work it out, but it'll be something like 5 times 1 kilometer at threshold with recoveries in between. Wednesday is my long swim day. Thursday, you can see that there's just a nice steady long run. Friday, just an easy 1.5 hours on the bike. You can see what's obviously missing there is my long 4-hour plus ride. And then Saturday, that's intervals, but that's going to be a threshold. I'll be back to the trail running for that one before the usual Sunday ride. So you can see there it's a total duration is 5 hours 55, so 6 hours plus whatever I've got to work in. So I'm basically just cutting out that long ride this week. So I'm guessing this is my rest week, my recovery week. So I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere that 6 is actually going to be somewhere around 10 or 12 hours. And I'll have plenty of time spare. So as always, please, if you're interested in this info, like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll answer all the questions. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you.